There have been so many people in your same shoes buying new construction only to have the rug pulled out right from under them. I've been helping buyers buy new construction for 10 years now, and I have learned a lot when it comes to working with builders and new construction. I wanted to make this video just for you to make sure you understand and sometimes can avoid the pitfalls that come with buying new construction. If you're looking to buy a brand new home, you cannot afford to miss a minute of this video right here. And I'm starting right now. Let's do it. I'm Jonathan McCoy, Atlanta's Real McCoy, working here in the Atlanta and Metro Atlanta area with Keller Williams Realty Chattahoochee North. And I love helping buyers buy new construction homes. And in doing so, I've learned a lot of lessons along the way that I'd like to share with you. Okay, let's look at a lot of dangers that can come along with buying new construction. And we're going to start with the contract. Yep, when you go to buy new construction, just like buying any home, you're going to have a contract to sign. One of the biggest things to know about these contracts is that the builders have their own unique contracts written up by their lawyers. So the builder's contract is set up to protect the builder to the utmost. There are a number of things in these contracts that can and oftentimes are in the contract that buyers sometimes don't pay attention to, and sometimes their agents don't pay attention to either. So it's going to be super important that you read over in its entirety the contract that you are looking to sign. Now I know this might be a pain because the contract has a lot of legal language to it, and the builder's agent is trying to get through it as quickly as possible. If you're looking to buy a new construction home, I would suggest that either A, you get the contract sent to you early so you can read over it in its entirety at your own convenience at your home, or you just take the time while at the office with the builder's agent to read over the entire contract. Let me share some of the things that I've seen with builders that they have in their contract. First, one thing that's different about a new construction home versus a resale home, so a home that's already built that someone's trying to sell, is there's no due diligence period when it comes to buying a new construction home. Once you sign the dotted line and give them a check, you no longer can back out of that contract if you just don't want to purchase the home anymore. You can do an inspection on most homes for certain types of inspections. We'll get to that in just a second. But you can't just say, hey, I don't want to move forward with this home, or you find something out about the builder later and just break contract. If you do that, you're going to lose that money that you've put down. Next up, and I just mentioned, is inspections. There are builders that put in their contracts not allowing certain types of inspections for the home. Now, I haven't been across any that don't allow the general inspection at the end once the home is completed, but I have come across builders that don't allow pre-drywall inspections. That's when the framing's up and the electrical's done and the plumbing's done, it's in the walls, but they haven't put the drywall up yet. This is super important if you're buying a new construction home, as it's awesome to be able to see behind the walls before they're put up, because once that drywall's put up, an inspector can't look behind the walls. After this, something that's come up over the last 2 years that is really frustrating for buyers out there is the builder puts in the contract sometimes, and the wording can change, that they're able to raise the price on you even all the way up to a couple days before closing. What has happened is buyers got under contract with the home, and that home wasn't supposed to be ready for 6 months, 9 months, maybe 12 months down the line. But they went ahead and got under contract for, let's just make up the price of $500,000. So they're waiting and that home's being built, and then all of a sudden, somewhere down the line, the builder says, I'm not selling this home to you for this price. So an example, we talked about a $500,000 home. Well, I've seen builders raise the price as much as $100,000 to $200,000 on the home. So imagine being under contract for a home for $500,000. You're a week or two out from closing on that home. Then all of a sudden, the builder says it's going to be $600,000. A lot of problems can come up with this. One is, it's $100,000 more. That's not what you signed the contract for. The other is, can you even afford to purchase a home that's $100,000 more than you're under contract for? Now, when this has happened, if the contract's broken, the builder does give the earnest money back, but you're out of a home. This home you thought you were about to move into in a week or two or maybe a month down the line no longer is your home to purchase. And now you have to start the process all over of trying to find a new home. And maybe you're in a rental property, maybe you're selling your own home, and you have nowhere to go. This can be a huge problem. So you need to make sure you understand what a builder can do when it comes to the price. Another thing you need to be aware of is if you're wanting to work with the agent to represent you as a buyer's agent when you go to new construction. It is very important that before you go, even if you're just thinking about buying a home and you're not serious necessarily, but you want to go to new construction because you saw the signs up, You want to let your real estate agent know that you're going so they can meet you out there. They can be with you to sign in. Because there are builders out there, especially over the last few years, that were doing their best to try to cut agents out. If they weren't even with you the first time you came, let's just say you wanted to look through the model home quickly and go about your day, and you didn't want to bother your agent because you really weren't that interested. Then all of a sudden you saw the home and said, oh, well, I actually kind of like this. Let's think about making an offer. Let's call our agent. Well, builders were cutting out the agent. They were saying that they're not going to pay any of the commission. So it's either you as a buyer were coming in without an agent, which I never suggest you do. You should always have representation. Or they were saying, sure, bring your agent, but you have to pay the commission yourself, which also stinks because that's a lot of money added on to all the money you're putting down for a down payment on the home and closing costs. Not only that, but a lot of builders were saying every time that you as the buyer step onto the property to look at the home, to do inspections and all those things, your agent has to be with you every single time. And if they're not there, even one time, the builder cuts out your agent. Another thing that can be a danger in buying new construction is everything has to be in writing. Now, this is the case in all things real estate, but new construction seems to be the biggest problem, and here's why. The builder's agent lots of times will say certain things, whether they mean to or not, whether they're purposely being misleading and lying or not, that you hear and say, fantastic, such as, if you buy now, we'll get you $10,000 in upgrades, or this is something that's standard for a home versus this is an upgrade for a home. You as a buyer hear what the agent's saying and expect it to be on the contract. And then lo and behold, as you get somewhere in the process of buying that home, maybe even at the end before closing, you find out that what you were told is not the case. Maybe you were promised a certain amount of money and seller paid closing costs, and then you didn't get it. And if it's not in writing and the builder's agent doesn't admit to saying what they said, then guess what? You're out of luck. Now this next one is a big danger, and that's the danger of not hitting the like button and subscribing to these videos as I post them weekly. Okay, that really wasn't a danger about buying new construction, but this next one is, and that's updating costs and upfront payments. When you go and look at properties, you oftentimes will see a model home, and in the model home, they have a ton of upgrades that don't come standard with the home. It's going to be very important that you ask the builder's agent to give you a list of all the things that are standard in the home and the things that are upgrades. Depending on if this is a spec home, meaning everything in the home is kind of built to what the builder wants, so you don't really have a lot of choices that go into the home, or a home that you get to make your own will depend on whether you can do upgrades on a home. If you can do upgrades on a home, what you do is you have a time that you meet with the builder's representative and you go in and you pick all the things out, from paint to flooring to upgraded cabinets and countertops and knobs and types of showers and tubs and all of those things. What you need to make sure of, again, is what's standard in a home. Sometimes blinds don't come with a home. Garage door openers don't come with a home necessarily. There might not be gutters on the back of the home or anywhere on the home. It just kind of depends on the builder and what the county or city makes requirements versus what is just something the builder's putting in there. So you can't make any assumptions on the home. So ask about every detail on a home and whether it's standard or it's an upgrade. Now, if you are choosing upgrades, most builders require a certain percentage, if not 100% of the upgraded costs to pay up front. So it might be that you're doing $40,000 worth of upgrades. Well, they might make you write a check for $40,000. Or let's say you're doing $40,000 worth of upgrades and they want 50%. Well, you have $20,000 you need to put down right there to get those upgrades. And this money's at risk. But along the line, you somehow have to break contract. You won't get that money back. Again, make sure you read that contract and you understand what it says in the entirety of the contract. This next danger that comes up is further down the line. So you're in the process of building the home. Now, whether you can do a pre-drywall inspection or the inspection is just the general inspection at the end, doesn't matter. You get to the inspection period. What happens is you have an inspector comes in, they do inspection like they would with a resale home, and they tell you all the issues that come up with this home, that certain things aren't up to code, or maybe there's a leak in a pipe or anything like this. You get that list. One good thing about home inspections for new construction is typically you take that list, you give it to the home builder and you say, fix these things, because they should be fixed. Even though new homes aren't perfect homes, they should be new and everything should be working properly. Here's what can happen and does happen often. I've learned over my years of doing this that inspectors and builders, they don't like each other. And a lot of times what a builder will say is the inspector is paid to find things and they just make things up. I've had it happen on multiple occasions with different builders. And inspectors, they've come to know this. They've come to expect this almost from builders. Here's what I've learned, and here's a trick you should do if you have a builder fighting back against your inspection report. I had a builder say that this isn't something that was wrong and this wasn't a problem, it was up to code, and wasn't going to fix something that I knew my buyers should have fixed. And so what I did is I told the builder, okay, here's an issue. I'm not an inspector, but I'll get the inspector on the phone. And you have this in front of you. The inspector will have his copy in front of you. And I'm going to put this on speakerphone so we can all hear. And you explain to them why you don't think it's up to code, and he can explain to you what he found. When the builder got this scenario, the builder then caved and said, okay, we'll just fix it. I don't want to deal with that. What he really meant was, well, you got me. I didn't think you were going to go there. I didn't want to fix this, but now I'm going to have to. Make sure you have your inspection report and you fight for yourself to make sure that things are done correctly. Better yet, you should have a realtor that's going to fight for you to make sure these things are done right. Okay, you've done the inspection and now you've given the report to the inspector. Now, lots of times these inspections are done pretty close to when you're supposed to close. And what can happen is you then do a walkthrough right before closing where these things that the builder said are going to be done should be done. You go back in and take a look. But what happens is these items aren't fixed. You have maybe a cracked window that's not been replaced. You have an appliance that's not working. You have flooring that's an issue. You just have something along the way that is not correct and you're about to close. Well, you only have a few options. Option number one, and lots of times the builder pushes this, is they say, oh, we just didn't get a chance to get to it. Let's close and we'll fix this after you close. You can do that. Most of the times builders will get in there to address the issue. However, the problem comes with this. The builder's motivated to get things done before you close. The motivation kind of goes away when they already have their money. You may have to be on that builder constantly for weeks on end to get done what they said they were going to get done before it actually gets done. I've even had clients that had to write something in the contract when it came to the grass in their yard. The grass was just dead. It never took. And we were approaching the winter time. So what the builder said is, hey, if the grass is not green by May, I think it was, that we'll come in and replace all the grass. The issue was my buyers just closed on their own home and had nowhere to go. They had to close on this one. So we put in the contract that would survive closing, meaning even after closing that this contract is still in effect for this part of it, that if the grass didn't grow back, that they would replace it come May. May comes around, grass is still dead. Problem is the builder didn't want to replace the grass. The builder blamed the subcontractor who put in the grass. The subcontractor blamed the builder. There was a big fight and no one wanted to do what they were supposed to do. And then lawyers have to get involved and all that. It was a big mess. The other thing that you can do if something's not fixed appropriately is not close. Problem is not a ton of people have this option because they don't have anywhere to go. They're expecting to close on this home on a certain day. Their stuff is packed up. The buyers might have been renters and their rent is going to be over in the next couple days, or they sold their home like my buyers did and have to be there. So sometimes this isn't even an option. But the best thing you can do is make sure you don't close until everything is done as it's supposed to be done, because this will make the builder get it done faster. Delays in closing are a big deal right now, and this is a danger in new construction, especially right now. There are a ton of items in the building industry that are in just short supply, such as tubs and windows and doors and certain knobs and flooring, and the list goes on and on. There's just not enough of it. And when builders are building a home, they just don't buy stuff and stack it into a warehouse for the most part and just wait for it to be ready and ship it there. The stuff gets shipped on location and they put it into the house. They can only order it so far ahead of time. Well, what's happening right now is you're expecting a certain tub or a certain windows or just windows in general, and they don't have it in time. So then the builder can't close in time, which delays closing, which can be a real problem because you may think that your home's going to close in June and you don't close till November or December. So when buying new construction, make sure you have contingencies in place for you to have a place to live when it comes to the moving date. Just because it sets up that closing day when you sign a contract or as you move along with the process, it doesn't mean it's going to close on that day. Delays happen all the time when it comes to new construction. The other thing that happens with delays is that your loan has a certain interest rate, and that interest rate can be locked for a certain amount of time. Well, if you have delays in closing, Is that lock going to stay in place for the time you close? What happens if it doesn't and you no longer have that rate you originally got and the rates go up? Can you still afford that? Make sure that you're talking with your lender and communicating about that rate, and ask them, what happens if we have a delay in closing? Am I going to get the same rate? Buying new construction should be exciting. You're buying a brand new home, but all these dangers can really get in the way. The best thing you can do is have someone fighting for you and working for you and educating you to make sure that you're prepared for all the different scenarios that come with buying new construction. If you like this video and you want to know more about new construction, I've got videos right here, and I post videos weekly about living, working, playing, and breathing all things Atlanta and the metro Atlanta area, and about all things real estate. So don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.